Hi, my name is Paul Reimers, and I am so excited to share with you this video about the Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop. I have been teaching it for 10 years, and in addition to this workshop, I write and I teach classes ranging from sacred geometry, alchemy, subtle energy, and anything related to consciousness, ranging in length and time from about 2 hours to 2 days. And I have been teaching this workshop for 10 years, and I was able to study personally with Drumbulo Melchizedek, the creator of this workshop, 4 times, including once when he certified me to teach his work. And he is such a remarkable and amazing person, and one of the reasons why I think this content of this workshop is so powerful is that he had studied with over 40 physical teachers and many more non-physical teachers, and had evolved this workshop over many years with teaching and getting student experiences and tweaking and adjusting it to making it even more powerful. And one of the things I think is most amazing about this workshop is that it has the ability to encapsulate decades of spiritual growth into just 4 days. And this might sound like an exaggeration, but there are thresholds that we go through and experiences people have on the 4th day that include seeing a light in your inner vision, the light shifting into geometries, your halo lighting around your head, and your third eye opening. And these normally take decades of dedicated spiritual growth to get there. But what we do in the workshop is we get there on day 4. And there's people who've been studying Drumbulo's work and been serious meditators for years and years who take this work. But I also have people who are the partners, and they come along with the person who's very serious about Drumbulo's work, and they say, oh, I'm curious, let me just see what happens. And they still have these powerful experiences and things that normally take decades of growth to get to. So this is not a workshop just purely for people who have a very mature, super advanced spiritual practice. It is a way, through the specific content that we teach, people can have really powerful, huge openings and expansions in just 4 days. One of the core things that we teach in this workshop is about creation. There are many amazing teachers and methods about manifestation out there, but what makes this workshop unique is we learn to create from the heart. And this is not to exclusion of the head, it's the head and the heart together. And what we do is, because it is the head and the heart, it is not limited by the traditional purely brain-based methods of creation. The brain is polarized, the right side and the left side. And when there's brain-based methods of creation, usually there is the equal opposite. You create what you prefer, but also the equal opposite because of that polarity. What we do in the workshop is we teach you how to get this access to this non-dual field in the heart that doesn't have that equal opposite, unintended echo of the opposite of what you seek to create. Another aspect of being able to have the center of creation in this non-dual field is it's not bound by logic. I have remarkable stories from students shared their stories of creation, and I'm just always so thrilled to hear experiences and accounts of what happened for people after taking this workshop. I have had people who have started a professional sports career after leaving college years earlier, and that's just not normally how it's done. I had one person who was working in a computer job and ended up becoming a recording artist and also starting their own record label. So these are leaps of logic. This is extraordinary. This is not the logical, linear way of creating that's limited purely by the brain. The last thing I'll share about the creation aspect of what we share in this workshop is that for things to change, we need to change. We can't be the same selves and then create something far beyond ourselves. We need to expand in order to give birth to a larger creation than we have in the past. And those thresholds that I mentioned earlier of the halo, the light and the geometries, the halo and the third eye, all of those activations happening by the end of the workshop on day 4, they're actually part of the creation process. So when we create and we get into that state, we expand in a large way. We take evolutionary leaps. And through the process of evolving and expanding that quickly, we are then able to create something that much greater. There's actually one more thing I'd like to share about the creation process, is Aristotle had said that happiness is the only thing we seek for its own sake. Everything else we seek to create because we believe it will give us happiness. But one of the things that makes this creation process so unique is we learn how to create bliss. And this elevated levels of alpha brainwaves is actually what it looks like on an EEG. But we learn how to access this deep, euphoric, blissful state just in seated meditation with the mask on. Nothing coming from our outside world to make us feel any different. It's a method, it's a technology, an inner technology to help us access this expanded state and this bliss. And as a result, we learn how to generate happiness that is actually in most cases beyond the happiness that we get if we manifested that thing. And as a result, that takes the pressure off of these things having to come to us in this certain way to help us feel better. Because when we learn to create bliss within ourselves and joy within ourselves in this sort of expanded, unbounded state, we're less dependent on these external things coming to us. But paradoxically, when there's that dropping of that dependency and that insistence and that neediness of these things to help us feel better, from that state of fullness and joy and bliss, these things happen to come to us much faster and easier. Another key area of this workshop is connection. We've all had times where you felt lost and alone and confused and not knowing which way to go, which way to turn. And in those moments, unfortunately, we are down here and our guidance, our spiritual support team, our angels, our guides, our departed loved ones, people who are non-physical, who are beings who are supporting us, are up here. And in that moment, with that gap, we're least able to get the clear guidance and feel that love and support that's there for us. But in this workshop, we show how to shift, to close that gap, and pick up those signals to get that guidance. And specifically, there's a part inside of the physical heart called the tiny space of the heart. It's a non-dual field. We show you how to get into that, move your consciousness in there to be able to connect. Because in this non-dual field, you're not separate from anyone or anything. And you can most clearly connect with loved ones, ascended masters, the angelic realm, because in that space, we're one. Another important aspect of this workshop is the focus on healing. And in day 2, we do a powerful sound healing process, and we do another one on the beginning of day 3. And these sound healing sessions use a combination of sound and imagery to help us let go of baggage, old imprints and challenges that have, old energies that are stuck that we have, need to let go of so we can move on, as well as we share about how to uncover and release negative and limiting beliefs. The last area of this workshop I'd like to share about is about energetic expansion. And most notably is the activation of the Merkaba. And if you have heard about the Merkaba, there's lots of information about it, so I'll just share a couple key pieces here. The Merkaba is a large energy field when it's activated. It's 55 to 60 feet in diameter. There's a large amount of energy flowing through it that we have access to then after the activation. It is key to ascension, to the idea of transitioning and taking your memories with you. In addition to this, it is actually a programmable field. So if you've ever worked with crystals and held a crystal and programmed it to hold a certain energy or emotion or intention or feeling, then you know that that can be a really powerful tool. But with the Merkaba, we can do the same thing, and we can program our field to hold and resonate, to emit certain qualities of energy, as well as to define the qualities of energy that we let into our field and let pass right around it. And I've had so many people who are empaths or energetically sensitive who say that having the Merkaba activated changes everything, because they are able to then program into their field the quality of energy that they like to feel, rather than always being at the mercy of their environment and also feeling like a sponge, like they're always taking on everyone else's stuff. So another thing that we activate in the workshop is the beams. And there are these energy centers on the head. And what they do is they help increase intuition, they help unify consciousness, and they're half of what needs to be in place for the creation process. The creation process is the head and the heart coming together rather than each one exclusively coming together to create what we choose to create in our life. And the final piece that I'll share in terms of energy expansion and activation is the prana tube in the spheres. And the prana tube is really remarkable because it's this conduit of energy. And it is a way that we tap into higher dimensional energy. Usually when we're breathing or eating, we have to go out and get food, we have to draw it in a breath, we have to do these things to go out and bring energy to us. But with the prana tube, when we activate it and get that flow going in the workshop, it becomes constant and it's automatic. It constantly flows in and flows out and just flows through us and supports us as this whole new source of energy. In addition to this, we can tune it to different dimensional levels, because just with a simple shift in intention, we can intend it just almost like tuning a radio to extend and tap into different dimensional levels from the fourth dimensional level, all the way up to 144th density or 144th dimensional level. And each one has different qualities and properties that make it useful for certain things. We can also take that energy, imprint it with certain qualities of emotion, and do healing work for ourselves as well as transmitting it to other people. Also, too, if you're one of those people who ever has trouble getting out of bed in the morning, especially if you have something early and you're short on sleep, you can use this energy and channel it in such a way to make it easier for you. And now whenever I work out or do anything that's very active or strenuous, I'm flowing this energy where it's mostly the energy that is doing the action rather than my physical body, needing to exhaust itself to do that. So it's a really powerful, useful thing to have access to. So I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope that it answered some questions. Please read down through the page. There's some other bullet points and some information about this workshop. There's a Q&A section at the bottom. If you have any questions at all, please reach out. My number or my email is info@paulreimers.com, and I'll have that link on this page. And if you're excited and you were just eager and you're just like, this feels aligned and I'd love to register, you can look for the upcoming workshops and find a workshop that works for you and click to register. But if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to send me an email, because I'd love to connect and I'd love to share whatever I can do to help answer your questions. So take care. Thank you so much for taking the time to look at this video, and I'm excited to meet you soon.